Europe is now 27 very, very different nations. And when I look at the voting rules, I can see that countries like Romania and Bulgaria have many more votes than Denmark and Sweden and Finland. And I think, honestly speaking, that we are more clever than they are. We've created much more healthy, much more viable societies. We have much more transparency, democracy, and, social welfare. And we don't think that people who did not create healthy societies should decide for us. And we are worried that countries which we consider old-fashioned, anti-reforms, in many cases directly reactionary, have so much influence in Europe.
Mm-hmm. There's an election coming up, and there's a lot of indications that this attitude of limiting the power of European Union is going to take hold. Do you see a growing support in Europe, either among your constituents or in general on the continent?
I believe that this question concerning the future of Europe is very ardent in Denmark, which we can see from the fact that in several referendums the majority of the Danes said no. Because when you have referendums, the Danes do turn up in great numbers and people say no. You may know Denmark, because our no vote in 1992 to the Maastricht Treaty, we have some exemptions. That's why we are not part of the euro. That's why we are not joining any military cooperation, and we have our legal exemption, which means that Europe cannot rule our asylum policy. The sad thing is that the core object for Europe, which is an open market, cooperation within an open market, cooperation on quality standards for food or technical standards and all those things which make trade easier. But in many other fields, it's a violence of the European cultures. The French are different from the Danes. Danes are different from Greeks, and Portuguese are different from Finnish people. And I think it is very dangerous in a globalized world to take the cultural heritage out of people.
How do you keep things separate culturally but melded together so that things work correctly?
Well, look, a lot of European culture is melted together. My country has, for more than 1,000 years, received impacts from Germany, from France, from England, of course, from America. And this influence has been possible with normal borders between the countries. But the problem is that we are not checking anything anymore, which makes life very easy for the criminals. Today you have criminals from all of Europe which are traveling across Europe, and they can be in France one day and in Denmark 12 hours or 10 hours later. And it's impossible for the citizens to feel safe. Criminality in my country has risen immensely.
And you attribute this to open borders because of Europe?
Yes, the open borders, first of all, the open borders between European countries, but also the fact that Europe cannot defend its outside borders.
But wouldn't you say the EU could play a role in, say, strengthening the borders in the east and the south? Or do you think it really should be each country protects its own?
Well, the European Union is very good at making a lot of resolutions and a lot of paper, but they are very bad in implementing it. It's an inefficient administration. It's thoroughly corrupted in many fields. But we up in the north have a different mentality and a different administration, a different culture in our administration. And we have been able to maintain law and order until recently.
So basically, ideally, it would be a structure that could protect borders, but in practice, it just can't work.
We want to use de Gaulle's words, a Europe of the fatherlands. We believe that democracy can only exist in a nation, because democracy has one condition, namely that the politicians know the country, know the people, and are known by the people, and they can overlook the country up to the all edges. And today, what you see today is that decisions are made over France by people who have never been in France. People who have never been in Denmark decide over Denmark, and that's very, very unhealthy. And it will, in the end, destroy democracy.